Shell is closing 1,000 gas stations across America, and they're not the only ones. From California to Florida, gas station chains are shutting down or filing for bankruptcy. Some blame electric vehicles, others point to underground tank regulations. But the truth is more complicated. Here are 10 gas chains that are collapsing. Shell announced plans to close 1,000 retail gas stations between 2024 and 2025. That's 1,000 locations disappearing in just 2 years. The company calls it a strategic shift. They want to focus on electric vehicle charging instead of pumping gas. Shell plans to install 70,000 EV charging stations by 2025 and 200,000 by 2030. But here's what that really means. Shell operates about 13,000 gas stations across the United States. Closing 1,000 locations means cutting almost 8% of their network. That's not a small trim, that's a major retreat from gasoline retail. Think about what 8% means in real terms. 1 in 12 Shell stations will disappear. Communities that have relied on Shell for decades will lose their local station. Some towns might lose their only Shell location. Shell is the third biggest gas station chain in New York State. They have 328 locations across 139 towns. The closures will hit New York hard, but Shell hasn't said which specific stations will close. Station owners and employees are in limbo. They don't know if their location is on the chopping block. California has over 1,100 Shell stations. Nevada has more than 1,000. Utah has 54. All of these states will see closures, but nobody knows where yet. The uncertainty creates anxiety for everyone involved. The company made this announcement in their Energy Transition Strategy Report. They claim it's about meeting customer needs, but the real story is about money. Gas station profits have been shrinking for years. Margins are razor thin, electric vehicles are growing, and Shell is betting the future isn't in gasoline. Shell acquired Volta, a major charging company, to accelerate EV infrastructure. They're installing charging stations in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Duluth, and other major cities. The shift to electric is real and happening fast, but here's the problem. Shell currently has only 3,000 charge points across 31 states. They're closing 1,000 gas stations to free up capital for EV charging. That's a huge bet on a market that might not develop as quickly as they hope. Shell is selling these locations. The money will go toward building charging infrastructure. But what happens to the people who work at those gas stations, or the communities that depend on them for fuel? Shell hasn't answered those questions. The company talks about strategy and customer needs. They don't talk about the workers left behind. The closures represent a fundamental shift in how energy companies see the future. Shell is walking away from gas, and they're not coming back. This isn't a temporary pullback. This is a permanent exit from a significant portion of their retail network. Independent California stations, 573 gas stations in California, face permanent closure, not because they're unprofitable, because of underground storage tanks. California law requires all single-walled underground storage tanks to be permanently closed by December 31, 2025. The law was passed in 2014. That gave station owners 11 years to comply. Sounds like plenty of time, but the reality was very different. Compliance isn't cheap. Replacing underground tanks costs about $2 million per station. That includes removing old tanks, installing new double-walled tanks, upgrading piping systems, meeting all new safety requirements. Small independent operators can't afford that. Most don't have $2 million sitting around. Banks won't loan money for gas station improvements when the future of gas is uncertain, so station owners are closing instead. Simon Kim owned a 76 station in Alameda for 40 years. He came from South Korea in the 1980s, built a loyal customer base on Bay Farm Island. People came for gas, energy drinks, smog checks. Oakland Raiders players stopped by after training at Harbor Bay facility. Kim shut down in November 2024. The cost to replace his 3 underground tanks was $2 million. His tanks were installed in 1984. They're single-walled fiberglass containers. Each held 12,000 gallons. The state says they're archaic and hazardous, prone to leaks. Kim couldn't justify the investment. He's not young anymore. Retirement is coming. Spending $2 million on a business that might not survive another 10 years Made no sense. So he sold the station to Shell. They'll convert it to an EV charging site. Now the lot sits empty, fenced off, pumps gutted, 3 tanks buried in mounds of dirt. Station owners who don't comply face fines of $500 to $5,000 per day per tank. That adds up fast. A station with 3 tanks could face $15,000 in daily penalties. That's $450,000 per month, $5.4 million per year. No gas station makes that kind of money. The fines are designed to force compliance. They work. Over 2,000 single-walled tank systems remained in operation as of August 2024. Most are owned by small, independent operators. Many are in rural or underserved communities. These stations are often the only local fuel source. The California Fuels and Convenience Alliance tried to get the deadline extended. They pointed to pandemic disruptions, labor shortages, permitting delays. The State Water Resources Control Board's loan program took up to 2 years just to approve applications. Station owners acted in good faith but got stuck in bureaucratic delays. The California legislature considered Assembly Bill 626. It would have created a grace period for operators trying to comply. The bill failed. No extension was granted. Now hundreds of stations are closing, communities are losing fuel access, and gas prices will likely rise as supply shrinks. SQRL service stations filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in August 2024. By November, the bankruptcy converted to Chapter 7 liquidation. The company is gone. SQRL operated gas stations and convenience stores across multiple states: Arkansas, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas. The company had over $1.2 billion in debt. Gas Hub Investments bought SQRL in April 2024 for $17 million. Within weeks, everything fell apart. SQRL stopped paying rent in April. The landlord of 30 SQRL locations got court approval to evict Gas Hub from 18 stores. A bankruptcy trustee determined there was no realistic hope of selling the business or reorganizing it. The estate had no bank account, no income, nothing to save. SQRL's collapse shows how fragile the gas station business has become. Even chains with dozens of locations can disappear in months. The economics simply don't work anymore for many operators. Gas Hub tried to make the acquisition work. They failed, and now all those gas stations are closed. Employees lost their jobs, communities lost fuel access, and creditors lost over $1 billion. The court documents